Hello everyone, this is Blue Nose Reindeer, and I would like to share with you today a gameplay video that I have of Warwick that I think really showcases his skill as a scaling champion. He is the best scaling champion in the game, in my opinion, not just because of the way that he scales with numbers, but the way that he scales with other qualities in the game, the way that he scales with his team and against the enemy team, and just a lot of things. You can check out the detailed analysis for exactly why Warwick scales that well at cloth5.com. I'll have it linked in the video description, and you can check that out right now. With this video, I'd like to show you exactly how it works. A lot of champions will scale really well with gold, like Karthus, and they'll do a lot of damage if they get a lot of gold. But Warwick's not like that. He scales with gold if you build him right, but he also scales a lot of other ways. And so even if you deny him a lot of CS, and he's a very weak early laner, so it's easy to do that, even if you deny him a lot of CS, he will still be effective throughout the game and potentially carry really hard if he's able to get some kills or gold or however he gets his gold through CS or kills or objectives. He will be able to get big and carry too because he multiplies similarly to an AD carry. They get 4 or so multipliers, whereas most champions only get 2, and Warwick gets depending on how you play him, he gets 3 or 4 multipliers too. So he multiplies really well into the late game with gold, but he also multiplies really well without it. You'll see I've started Doran's Blade. A lot of people will start Doran's Ring, which is fine versus ranged matchups, and the only other real alternative is Cloth 5, which I will get against someone that I'm really scared of in lane. A Tryndamere, perhaps, a Quinn, perhaps, someone that is just going to destroy me no matter what, and I just kind of want to weather that as best I can. Doran's Blade, however, is really good for helping you last hit under turret, because Warwick has really bad wave clear and he'll get shoved in by just about everybody, and it just scales really well with how he works. So this game I decided to go for a blue steal to attempt it, and I get a really nice leash from Ziggs, but he actually stays too long and kind of tips him off that Nasus is around. And unfortunately, disaster strikes, Nasus gets the blue buff, and I'm in so much shock that I just stand there autoing him for a while because I don't know what to do. Never had that happen before, and it's really bad because not only does he get the blue buff, I have no pot, I have no health, and I have no experience. He got the experience from that. So that's pretty much the worst start imaginable. Normally, Warwick can deal kind of okay with Nasus, and you'll see right here I juke him out, I go to the tower, and so he thinks I'm recalling. It starts to push the wave, makes it harder for him to freeze me out in the end. Then I just try to soak experience. It's very important that Nasus's flash is down and mine is up, because it lets me do that. He can throw spirit fires at me, but other than that he can't do anything, and so I'm able to soak experience. If he hadn't flashed, then that would not be the case. But I'm in really bad shape. Warwick really cannot do anything to his opponents pre-6. Once he gets 6, he gets a sizable amount of burst with his ult, burst and CC, which is really good for setting up ganks. And then once you get an item or two, he does a significant amount of damage and can fight people on his own. But right now, he's still really weak, and so I'm just doing everything that I can to get level 2, and then once I have level 2, be able to heal with my Q. And so as you can see, my Doran's Blade is helping me last hit under tower. Some of these melee minions I would probably get anyways, but it helps with the ranged minions. It will, yeah, once I get level 3. When you're not terribly behind in levels, it helps. If you do get behind, then you miss them by like 3 health. So it's really kind of a risky pick, but it's one that you can make work against a weaker laner like Nasus a lot of the time, or against a lot of people that don't steal your blue buff right away. If you're able to start with a buff or something like that that lets you stay competitive on experience, then it can work really well. So at this point, Yi ganked too early. Nasus didn't have it warded, and we could have gotten a kill, but we didn't. But fortunately, he did get a lot of health off Nasus, which helps me lane. I was able to get pushing. I was able to heal up off the minion wave a little bit, and so I'm able to not get pushed away like I was. And so I use that opportunity to try and get the minion wave pushing so that Nasus has to focus more on landing his Qs on the minions and stacking that than harassing me. And that way we can both kind of scale up together. I would much prefer being able to bully him a little bit, which because he's Nasus, Warwick can actually do, even though Warwick himself is a very weak laner. And I would like to do that, but the start just didn't permit for that. And so I have to make do with the situation that I have. And so I'm able to CS pretty well now with that gank for me. Even though it was a bit of a flubbed gank, I'm able to do good things with it. I'm able to CS more easily, heal up off the wave more easily, so that I'm not perpetually worrying about a gank. Hecarim does not gank top this entire game. Bit of a spoiler. Hecarim does not gank top at all, and that is really... It's understandable because Nasus doesn't do a ton with gold. He just needs to be able to stack, and his Nasus got blue buff, so he's like, oh, Nasus is just going to be able to stack freely, and I don't have to worry about him. But at the same time, Warwick is a really easy gank because he doesn't have any way to deal with ganks. He doesn't have an escape. He doesn't have any CC to repel the gank or anything like that, and Nasus is really good at setting them up. So it's kind of free gold for Hecarim. Even though Nasus doesn't need the gold, Hecarim could use it a lot because he scales really well with gold. And here I'm starting to disrespect Nasus way too much. I'm trying to just heal off the wave as my sustain and be like, oh, I can ignore Nasus damage. But he's level 6 and I'm level 5, and I think eventually he's going to all-in me, but just sitting around there was really risky. If he had ulted, he could have burned my flash right there, and then eventually flash queued me or something like that, because his flash is going to be up real quick here. And so I have to be... I am now aware of that at that point in the game, and so I'm like, okay, I have to play more carefully. But then once I get 6, it's like, well, he can't dive me under turret because I'll just ult him, and he knows that. So it just turns into your typical farm lane, top lane farm fest, which is pretty typical at this point. Got zoned a lot early because of the blue buff steal, but now it's just like, okay, we're gonna play this out. And then you can start to see the map kind of starting to go really bad. I think that's the second kill on bot lane, and so Vayne beating Draven is about the worst thing imaginable. And so I'm starting to feel a lot of pressure because it's like, well, if they're going to lose their lane, then I have to win mine. But that's really not the case. Every single lane loses in this, and we're able to win regardless. I am aware right now because I saw Nasus go into the bush and I saw him not come out. I know that he recalled, and then I see him right away with full health. I know that he used his teleport. Unfortunately, I don't think I communicate that to my team, but I'm aware of that. So I try to push him in and then roam, because I'm like, well, I can take advantage of that opportunity. He just recalled and teleported. He's not going to want to recall again. He's going to want to farm these. I'll just push them up and then leave, and I can get a free gank off, because Warwick's really good at setting up ganks for his jungler, but he's also really good at roaming. And so as soon as I start roaming and I see that my mid laner is not there, I ping. I let him know my plan so that he can be prepared for it. And I don't want to dive because things are already bad enough. So I fall back, and that's when I see the ward. I get chased off, and I know that that Nasus was able to freeze top a little bit, so I just recall. And at this point, I am confronted with a choice. I can buy armor, which would be really helpful versus Nasus in mitigating his Q strikes, or I can do what I actually decided to do, which a lot of you will probably think is pretty questionable, in buying magic pen boots, which are very, very, very important for a magic damage Warwick, and a magic resist cloth. You might think the magic resist cloth is a really funny purchase, but remember that Nasus's ult is magic damage, and it does percent health, so it's gonna be doing a lot as the game goes on, so magic resist really isn't going to hurt there. And my goal is to push and gank Syndra. So having magic resist for her on that dive could be very key. And there's a little bit of magic damage with this E. It's probably not doing that much by this point in the game, but the magic resist will definitely be helpful. And the boots will help with roaming, and the extra magic damage with my Qs will help me heal more because that heal scales off of the damage that I do. And so it'll also be really helpful if Yi ganks. And then right here, I kind of disrespect his damage a lot, and then he flash Qs me under turret, which is pretty unfortunate. If I had been able to anticipate the flash, which would have been kind of hard, then I could have outplayed him. I could have ulted him under tower, ignited him, all that stuff, and gotten a lot of tower shots off on him, probably killed him. But I'm not a strong mechanical player, and so that didn't even come close to happening. And so Yi comes in late, which is really unfortunate. But if he had come when Nasus first started going aggressive, then we probably could have killed him because I would have been able to ult and I wouldn't have even needed the tower. But I did save my summoners, which is important. I keep those up so that I can have them in a fight that matters. If I had flashed prematurely versus the Nasus, then he probably would have just walked away and kept his flash, and then we would have repeated the fight, only him having flash and me not having it. And so we go back to typical top lane farm fest. Because of that, I am unable to push and roam like I wanted to. So I was playing kind of risky again and really get burned for it. Underestimate the Nasus, and in the end, it's a kill, and I lose some experience. But Yi actually got some farm and stuff from it. So in the end, it hurts and it was bad and all that, but my teammate kind of saves it from being a complete disaster. Yi getting a gold is really important. He's one of those champions that just scales really well with gold. He has a lot of ratios, has a lot of damage, and can get resets, so he scales really well with that damage and just all sorts of stuff like that. And so I'm finally like, yes, I can push and roam. I've been wanting to do this. There's no way that I can kill this Nasus. I can kind of sustain against him, but I can't really fight him. And then this happens. He just comes up and like two-shots me down to 1/3 health. And so I'm like, well, his flash is down. I can sit on the edge and soak experience. I probably could have roamed and survived if I had gotten the gank set up right, but the ward is still there. I haven't seen anybody go clear that ward, so I would probably just die if I tried to roam. So I have to just sit here and get zoned again, which sucks, but that's top lane. A lot of the time you just sit around doing boring stuff and just minimizing your risks. And so I'm sitting here waiting for farm. Normally I'm a support main, and so usually be contesting this farm, be fighting their bottom lane with my AD carry. Even if things are snowballed, you can generally kind of harass around the edges, but with top lane, a lot of times you just sit around and wait for things. It's important to note that at this point in the game, everyone is starting to lose faith. Ziggs is losing his lane. Bot is very much losing their lane. They've gotten a dragon or two, probably just one actually. It's 13 minutes. Nasus has a lot of stacks, and people start getting mad at each other. There is no elo heaven. People in diamond rage just as much as people in silver, and I can safely say that because I've spent a lot of time in both places. But my wave finally gets to tower, and my jungler isn't near, but I decide with hitting the level up that I can fight Nasus anyways. I can get a lot of free damage on him because he's taking the turret. I ult a second late. If I had ulted a second earlier, I could have kept my turret around a little bit, and good things might have happened. But in the end, the fact that he has minions caused me to lose that fight. But fortunately, and this is really, really clutch, this is really key, Yi is able to come in and not just get the kill, but get a bunch of farm again and get me the assist. So that's a lot of gold for our team. That's like 450 from the kill, and then probably another 200 or 300 from just taking all those waves. And so I'm able to get my much needed armor against what's his name, against Nasus. And at this point in the game, I'm still wanting to roam, but my ult's down and there's not really opportunities being created, so I just go back top lane. And normally, I see that it's pushed really badly, so I want to take the golems, but he took those, so I have to just go back and get used to being zoned. Um, One thing to note is that Warwick scales really well with wide open spaces, and my turret going down means that I have just gotten stronger, because if he pushes that in and gets deep into my territory, I can chase him down if he makes a mistake. If he takes turret shots, or if he doesn't watch for our jungler or something like that, I can chase him down and deal damage over a longer period of time because there's just more space for me to chase him over. And that's something that you can't do when the towers are up and you're close together nearly as much. And so I just wait for him to push up. I tried to soak experience for a while when the creep waves are kind of even, but once his gets a decided edge, then I start letting him push. And I am down 60 farm at this point. He has gotten 2 farmed every one of mine as Nasus. Early game, that's a pretty big deal. And Vayne, down bot, is getting fed. Syndra scales pretty well. She's roughly even, I think, maybe a little bit ahead. Hecarim scales really well. He just gets a double kill. Like, their scaling team is really starting to get big and out of control. But this is about the point where the game starts turning. Even though I don't have my ignite, I go for basically the same thing that happened before, and I get kind of lucky in that Nasus runs out of minions here and starts taking tower. I wait a little bit long to ult, but in the end it doesn't matter because he's still taking tower shots. And then I would kill him there, except for I run out of mana. Warwick has an atrocious mana pool, and so I'm not able to get him. But Yi teleports in and takes him down. And so Yi has been cleaning up multiple times. He gets that kill, and then he gets this kill as well. I flash away because I know that she can kill me, and so she uses her ult and everything on Yi. He survives, and we end up getting a double kill, both of those assisted because I was able to give him my attack speed buff. And so we're in pretty good shape. Even though the game in general is going really badly, we went from being 1-7 to being 5-12. That means they got 5 kills, and we got 4 over the last couple of minutes. So that means things are evening out considerably. And if we can keep going even, for now, once we like cash in that gold, we can maybe start pulling ahead and winning. And so even though I'm down like 60 farm or so, I can start outscaling on Nasus, and that's pretty huge. I used my ult quite a bit ago, and so it's almost back up. And so I take this opportunity. I know that Nasus is going to want to stay top and farm because that's what Nasuses do. They like to get their stacks. It's how they scale. And so I have my ult. This is the perfect opportunity for me to roam. And so I decide right here I'm going to start roaming. I start looking for what types of plays I'm going to make. And I see that Morg is chasing for Leona. There's an opportunity there, so I go bot instead of mid. And then Yi really is able to clean the stuff up on his own, largely because he's been able to take a lot of my stuff, and so I just help Ziggs with Syndra. And even down, I didn't use my ignite, I just used my ult and Q, basically. I was able to do about half of Syndra's health, and Ziggs was able to get the other half. And it's really important to note, over the entire course of the game leading up to this point, the enemy team got 3 towers and 1 or 2 dragons, I think 2 dragons. And with that one single fight, we decided to take 2 objectives. And so it's really not kills that determine the game, but objectives. And early on, those objectives are farm, and we're really behind in that area. But now as we're transitioning into the mid game, we're starting to take the global objectives, which are towers, and we're largely caught up on those. There are a couple ahead of us, but we have momentum, even though our team is still kind of flaming each other in chat. we're doing okay, and we're starting to pick ourselves up. Normally, I will always start Sunfire Wit's End and throw boots in as necessary wherever they need to go. But because I am so monstrously far behind this game, because Nasus is really weak to building armor, I decide to go for my Frozen Heart next, and also because they have a Vayne, that's a big deal too. And right here, Nasus is dead. Even though he comes back in, I could have cut him off. I don't know if Draven would have chased, probably not, but we could have cut him off because he tried to take the outside track of the lane, and I was going to take the inside track, which is a lot shorter. And then after we get the kill, we make sure to defend our objectives because they're pushing the other lanes. They see that 3 people are top. And so what I do is I ward for Yi, I give him my attack speed buff, and then I just recall. Draven was smart to recall before that point, and so he was able to go get there quickly and make sure that only 1 tower went down. And then I get out of there as soon as I can while still helping Yi push. And then he makes a really questionable decision to come try and fight their team as opposed to taking their second tower. But in the end, it works out. What happens is he's able to just solo Morg just because he has a lot of self-centered utility. And even though my ult is down and I don't really want to fight because I used it on Nasus, they're able to catch on to Hecarim and blow a bunch of stuff there, and I'm able to just run into the fight and just do my stuff. I'm far enough behind that most people don't care about me. They think that I'm not going to do anything, and so they just let me walk up and auto them, which is a big mistake. As soon as my ult comes up, I look for a pick, but as soon as I see that, like, following up on that by ulting in, I would really separate myself from my team. I turn back and just help them with the tower. And so we're staying very objective focused, which is pretty rare in solo queue, but it's really good. And right here, I think about turning on Vayne, but I decide to do it too late, and so I wait until I see the teleport, because turning on Vayne by myself would probably not have worked well. I was trying to bait her into the Leona, and then I just get really stupid here, try to take the ward, and end up getting caught by the binding. But Yi is so strong by this point that he is able to kill 2 people, which is pretty fed. And that's, again, because he's been getting so many kills, largely off of my plays, but also just on his own. He's been getting a lot of the team's gold, and he is someone that absolutely needs the gold. While Warwick can scale well even without gold, and he can be highly effective without gold, Yi needs it, and so if there are kills, I want Yi to have them, because that's just going to be better for our team. I can be effective without them, and he needs the gold to be effective, and so it works best if he gets the gold. It's important to note that I started off 0-2-1. I had Nasus flash Q me under tower for the first kill. I tried to all-in him as he took my tower for the second kill, and then got the assist when Yi cleaned it up. And so from that point, I just had the death where Vayne killed me, but from that point I got like 5 other takedowns before I died again. So that's pretty important. Having that kind of mid-game transition from being really useless against Nasus to being a threat and being able to help my team secure kills. And here, I really just want to bait him in, and so I don't want to tip off that people are coming too early. And then right there, he's like, "Oh, he's just fighting me because there's a wave." And then he sees the way too late. We take him down, and he pays for his greed. Nasus got ahead early, so he thinks that he's pretty strong, but that's just because he underestimates the scaling power of Warwick. And now that I'm finishing my second item, I am definitely a factor to be reckoned with. I don't deal a ton of damage because I've had to itemize primarily defensively, but I will last forever in team fights, and so I'll do a lot of damage over that time. I'll be burning people up with my Sunfire, like I just did to Hecarim, and I'll be slowing their attack speed and increasing my team's. So slowing a Vayne's attack speed and increasing a Yi's attack speed are both really big deals. Draven's not going to benefit from the attack speed nearly as much because he's going to have to focus on catching axes a lot. But my overall utility in a team fight is really high right now. And then me and Draven get separated, which is really unfortunate. I'm watching my ult cooldown closely. I want that to come up, but fortunately I have a red buff, so I have a way to stick on targets. But I don't want. I didn't have an eye on Syndra at that moment, and I didn't want to get 2v1'd. I'm still trying to play it a little bit carefully, even though I know that I'm pretty strong right now. And then right here, I play pretty greedy. I could have ulted Syndra, but then Nasus might have gotten away, so I go for the Nasus kill, which was fairly close. It was a bit of a risk, and usually you don't want to take a risk like that when you're behind. So fundamentally, it was a bad thing to do, but it paid off that one time. And so we can't take Dragon. Waves are too pushed to take objectives, so we just take the kills that we've gotten and leave. At this point, I really want to get damage. I'm really hurting for my wit's end because that's really the item that I need to be a threat in team fights that people will respect. I can provide a lot of utility with my skills and my frozen heart, but I want to be able to deal a lot of damage. That's how Warwick scales better than most bruisers, because he can also heal off of that damage. And so the penetration that Wit's End gives you and the magic resist that it gives you to scale with your healing is just really, really good. The damage that it gives you with your ult and just everything like that. And also the utility of shredding, which will help my Leona and my Ziggs a lot as well. Leona does a respectable amount of damage, so that is definitely an important thing to factor in. I have my ult, so I'm thinking about ulling in that Hecarim. Anytime that you have your ult, you should be thinking about all-inning people, but I decided against it because there's Morgana there, there's stuff there. The E-proc on Hecarim lets me get onto Morgana, and then because of that, we're able to just pick them off one by one. They're definitely in disarray right now, and the game is solidly in our favor. We're only up 1 kill, but it's pretty clear that we are stronger, and a lot of that is because of Warwick's latent scaling. The attack speed buff that he gives, which is making Yi, or helping Yi, run out of control, and just the way that he scales, which I outlined in the article. He's just extremely powerful. And so we're able to take the Baron just because carry junglers burn through that really, really fast. And so if there's a Yi on the enemy team, you should have Baron warded from the 15-minute mark because he can burn through it really carefully, or really quickly, excuse me. And we're able to take down the other two because they just overextend. And at this point in the game, we just really have to make sure that we don't let ourselves get picked off. We're definitely the stronger team. We're definitely scaling better than they are, and we just want to not throw, basically. We just want them to be weak to our strengths. We don't want to let them take advantage of our derps. And so we take the easy objective. Draven is definitely being really silly by pushing on his own, especially against a Vayne, who can chase people down much like a Warwick can, and she just takes him down. He gets collapsed on by a bunch of people, but I think she could have dueled him. At this point, I buy move speed, the Alacrity upgrade, just because it's really good on Warwick. I'm really hesitant about buying the health, but I decided to do it in the end just because I want more stats. But I buy the move speed because as much as I want more stats and I want to be spending my gold, that's just because it's better than doing nothing. I opt for move speed over combat stats because I want to be able to choose between split pushing versus Nasus and team fighting, and so I can move between those two places very easily when I need to. And also it's very handy for not getting kited in team fights. Just being able to stick to targets, having that extra move speed is a big deal. And so I generally get the Alacrity upgrade at some point. It's just very handy for Warwick. Lots of move speed so that you can chase things down. And right here, again, I know that a gank's coming, but I don't want to tip it off too early. I have a red buff, which helps a lot. I use my ult to gap close once he does start to get too far from me, and then we just kill him. And at this point, I've used my ult, so whenever you use your ult, best thing to do generally is just go to a side lane and push and hope that you can draw somebody to you. If you don't draw somebody to you, you can generally burn through towers pretty fast, although I've had to itemize pretty defensively this game. And I make a bit of an odd decision in that I try to go help my team, because without my ult, I know that it's going to be really hard for me to get in and be effective, without flash as well. But I'm able to get from behind, which makes the big difference. I use my ignite so that I get the kill on Morgana instead of having to chase her down, and then we just chase Vayne down, and we're able to push. And so at this point, like, even with Vayne tumbling and shooting and stuff like that, I'm able to chase her down. My move speed is just that good. So even though Warwick typically has problems with being kited, people will think, if you're able to go a more damagey build, you circumvent that problem largely because you have your E, which you're proccing more. And then if you get Alacrity, it's just you have very, very little problems with being kited. And so that's like the main argument against him. And if you have a damaging build, then you circumvent it completely. And one other nice thing about a damaging build like this, you get a lot of your health from healing, which is why I'm going towards the Spirit Visage, and not from flat health. So if you're going against someone who does percent health, like Nasus with his ult or Vayne with her true bolts, then you're able to be tankier than someone who itemizes a lot of health, because you're getting your health from healing and not from flat health, and you're not letting them maximize their percent health damages. And so that's really a big deal when you're against someone like Vayne. Being able to be tanky and also like reducing her attack speed with a Frozen Heart, Warwick is probably the best anti-Vayne champion there is. Because of that, he works really well with the Frozen Heart. He needs the mana. He gets a lot from the cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction is really big on Warwick, and he can heal a lot with his Qs from the extra cooldown reduction that he gets, and have the mana to do it and stuff like that. So Warwick's just really good for killing Vayne. The reason why cooldown reduction is so good on Warwick is because, one, you get more Qs, which makes you tankier while still doing damage. And that's really like the moral of the story for a magic damage Warwick. It's like, I want to do a lot of damage and get tanky from dealing that damage. And so Qs are a perfect way to do that with magic penetration and with Visage and all that kind of stuff, cooldown reduction. And Frozen Heart, same thing. The armor makes the heal from the Q do more, and the cooldown reduction just helps you get it more. The mana lets you sustain so you can actually have the fuel to get those Qs off. And then at this point, the game is pretty much over. We're about to end it. I've used my ult, so I just go back to pushing by myself. And I'm able to burn through towers relatively quickly. Before, I was like, oh, I'll go join the team fight. Now I'm like, people are actually responding to me, and so I will be more useful if I stay here. If people are coming to me, then I'm pulling one person out of a team fight, and I'm probably not going to be able to contribute as much because my ult isn't up. Staying to take the minions is questionable, but I do it anyways because we're ahead, and we're about to end it. But like I was saying with cooldown reduction, it gives you more Qs, which is really good. It lets you keep your attack speed up, your attack speed buff up almost 100% of the time. Actually, I think more than 100% of the time. I think with max cooldown reduction, it's on a slightly less than 10-second cooldown, and the buff lasts 10 seconds. And it lets your ult with max CDR get on a 42-second cooldown. And you can see, even with Vayne condemning me away, I gap closer to her right away again. Just a lot of move speed. And so CDR, good on Warwick. Attack speed non-hit, good on Warwick. And so you can go the build that I did this game. There's a couple deviants that you can do, and he scales really well with gold. He scales really well with the map. He scales really well with other people, both your team and enemies. Just does a lot of good things in general, and I think that's why he's highly underrated. You can see I started the game 0-2-1, and I ended 7-3-20. With basically one good play, you can get back into the game, and especially if you have someone that can come from beyond vision, like Pantheon or something like that, where they're not expecting it, you can set up ganks really, really well with Warwick, and so getting those plays is really doable, and I think that's why he is one of the most underrated champions, and I think you just saw how that's executed. Doesn't require a lot of mechanical skill, but he certainly has the ability to impact games very, very strongly. You can see even there towards the end, even though I wasn't ulting Vayne a lot, she bought a QSS, and part of that is Leona. Leona's probably getting on her a lot, but that's also about the only response that you can do to Warwick. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the video.